Hello, Poetry and Positivity subscribers. All 43 of you. How is everyone? I hope doing good. So, I'm on here today to share a story that I read. Well, not really a story, but a blog by a David Vajcic. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I'm probably butchering it. But I saw it on MSN, like the computer, when you're on the computer and the stories pop up, the different ones that you can go to. So anyways, this story was titled 20 Life Mottos You Only Understand When You Get Older, when you're older. So that kind of caught my attention. I said, okay, that's interesting. 20 life mottos. A lot of people live by mottos. Okay, what mottos do you follow? So there are 20 that has been around for, I guess, quite some time, but you don't really understand them until you're older. And when I read over these 20, I can honestly agree that I was like, okay, I get that now that I'm older. I really fully understand what this motto means. So let me share these with you guys. Number 1, quality over quantity matters. I know you've heard that. Whether it was a teacher, your parent, your grandparent, somebody have told you that quality over quantity matters, right? Okay, so what David had to say about that was, okay, your phone has 500 contacts, right? But only 3 people would drive across town at midnight when you need them. Do you all agree with that? You got so many contacts in your phone, but there's only a certain specific amount that is really like there at the drop of a dime. You can call them and they drop everything and they're on the way, right? So it said growing up means realizing that one friend who remembers your weird fears is worth more than 10 who forget your existence between parties. I thought that was so true. We usually catch up with each other or certain ones when it's time for a party. I know I do that often. I throw these parties when my birthday come around, and there's certain people that I'm like, oh my goodness, I must call them. They're on my list for parties, but on a daily, there's only a few people that we really talk to. So quality over quantity matters. I agree with that one. So that was number 1, the first motto that you fully understand once you get older. Number 2, your career isn't your identity. Now, who can resonate with that? Okay, David. He says, titles and job descriptions used to feel like everything. Oh, wait. Titles and job descriptions used to feel like everything. Okay, later you realize work is just one piece of the puzzle. Friends and quiet evenings matter just as much, sometimes even more. A job pays the bills, but it doesn't define you. And that last sentence is what really stuck with me, because we go to work every day, right? And we're there for 8 hours. Some people 10, some people 12, some people 16-hour shifts, right? And although that is a significant part of our life, because we have to work to be able to pay our bills and provide for our families, we should not allow for the job to be the definition of who we are. Do y'all agree with that? Do you find yourself caught up in your title, like with your work? Oh my God, I am the CEO of the company, and that's who I am. So no matter where I go, I see myself as this CEO of a company. I'm not a CEO of a company, but I'm just saying, generally speaking. If you are a nurse, you're a superhero, you're a doctor, you're a police officer. When you are off the clock, is that the main identity of who you are by your job title? Think about that. So number 2 was really good. Your career isn't your identity. I like that one. I don't think I heard that too much growing up, but I do agree that that would be able to be understood a lot more when you're older and actually in the career aspect of your life, right? So number 3 says, this is a good one. Time flies, so spend it wisely. Now, I know everybody can resonate with that one. Time flies, so spend it wisely. David, the person that wrote this story, says, as kids, summers felt endless. Do y'all agree with that? When it was summer, it was like, man, we did not want it to end. When it was time to go back to school, we were crushed. Summer felt like, man, the best thing in the world as a kid, right? You didn't have to go to school. You could sleep in late. You could play later. You could stay up later. But now the months blur and December seems only a step behind. Weekends become fiercely protected because once Monday arrives, the days vanish quickly. Do y'all find that to be true? As I've gotten older, to me, it seems like now the weekend flashes like that right before your eyes. The weekend is not long anymore. Monday is here before we know it, and we have to get up and get back to our regular schedule programming, routine with getting kids up for school, getting ready to go to work, coffee run in the morning. The weekend is not as long as it used to be when we were kids, right? So it says each hour starts to feel valuable, like space you don't want to waste. So time flies, so spend it wisely. And I'm still learning that a little more. When I see myself, I actually went on a fast from social media because my time was not being spent wisely. I'll look up and I'm just scrolling for hours. That is not using my time wisely. So I had to disconnect for a while just to kind of be intentional with my time. How do you guys feel about that? Make sure you comment, on these 20 life mottos that you only understand when you're older. Comment the ones that you can agree with, that you really have kind of come to the conclusion like, wow, this is really one that I can resonate with. Comment. Tell me something in the comments, you guys, what you think about these. So 1 was quality over quantity matters. 2 was your career isn't your identity. 3, time flies, so spend it wisely. Now, number 4, you can't control everything. I know I do that look every time I finish reading one. You can't control everything. Whew, that's a hard one. Life comes at us day by day, and of course, we want to have control over our life. Who doesn't? Who doesn't? David says, life loves to mess with your perfectly color-coded planners and detailed spreadsheets. Your backup plan needs a backup plan. And sometimes even that fails spectacularly. The relief comes when you learn to surf instead of trying to stop the ocean. Listen at that last sentence. What does that last sentence mean to you? What does that last sentence mean? Right? I had this little YouTube music going on in the background. So, the last sentence, right? The relief comes when you learn to surf instead of trying to stop the ocean. Go with life as it comes. And what I mean by that is the different challenges that happen day by day, the different hiccups that present themselves in our routines and mapped out to-do lists. Allow them to happen and just kind of go with the flow. I know that is easily said than done, but that is what that last sentence is telling us. That's where you get your relief, when you learn to surf. Just go with it. Just go with it. If you want relief, go with it. And stop trying to stop the ocean. We can't stop the ocean, right? The ocean is going to do what it's going to do. Life is going to do what it's going to do. So we just have to learn to kind of go with the flow, So that's number 4. You can't control everything. Number 5, saying no is a superpower. I'm going to stop doing that. Saying no is a superpower. That's hard for some people to say no. We don't want to come across as unkind or not being what do I want to use? Not being helpful or, there for people. But saying no is a superpower. David says, remember when you said yes to everything and ended up exhausted at events you hated? I can remember that. Learning to decline invitations without guilt feels like discovering a cheat code for life. Does that resonate? Learning to decline invitations without guilt. You should be able to say no without feeling guilty. You should be able to say, no, I ain't gonna be able to make it this time. Although sometimes people make that hard to do because they only remember the one time or two times that you said no versus the 10 to 15 times that you said yes and was there, So that can make it hard, and that can make all the difference in feeling guilty about declining, But I see a glare. I'm going to take my glasses off. Okay. So that can cause you to feel the guilt of declining invitations because of how a person is going to perceive you. But a person that truly knows you genuinely and knows your character and knows the person that you are, they will not feel a way about you declining or saying no. So saying no is a superpower. Okay, it says your energy becomes currency and you finally learn how to spend it wisely. Energy is most definitely currency, especially when you have busy lives, you have children, you have a husband, you have a career, you need your energy, and you cannot drain it by trying to be a people pleaser, saying yes to everything just to be in the good graces of people. Sometimes you have to use that superpower and say no, fly. Okay. Number 6, money isn't happiness, but it helps. That is true. Money is not happiness, but it helps, especially now in today's time. Everything has skyrocketed in dollar amounts, So this says designer labels don't replace security. Paying bills and stocking the fridge bring a steady calm you don't notice until the stress disappears. Okay, you want to stock your fridge. You don't want to worry about, oh my God, how are we going to eat today? So when you have money to go ahead and fill up your fridge, fill up your gas tank, it's like, okay, I need to do this. So, money isn't happiness, but it helps because it relieves that stress and anxiety that you have about not having. So that's how that kind of resonates with me. It says, it turns out financial breathing room creates the kind of relief money itself often gets blamed for chasing. Agreed? Let me know. Let me know how you guys feel about number 6. Money isn't happiness, but it helps. Okay, number 7. Comparison is the thief of joy. I like that one. Comparison is the thief of joy. You want your joy to be stolen? Start to compare yourself to others instead of just being who you are, right? That's another thing that social media does. It naturally and unknowingly puts you in a state of comparison sometimes. You see what others are doing and you're like, wait, am I doing enough? Am I doing too much? Right? Comparison is the thief of joy. David started with social media shows everyone's highlight reel when you're living in your director's cut with all the messy behind the scenes footage, right? Does that make sense? It says your Tuesday morning bedhead doesn't match their sunset vacation photos. And that's perfectly fine. Your story is yours alone. And you don't have to feel any less for it. I feel like this is one that although you don't fully understand it until you're an adult, till you're older, it's good to push this one on younger people, even children, so that later down the line they don't fall into trying to be like others or following the crowd. I think that this is one that should be, represented or, expressed to your children. Comparison is the thief of joy. And that sentence where David says, your story is yours alone and you don't have to feel any less for it. We need to know that. We need to know that. Be authentic in everything you do. Don't try to fit in or follow the crowd, follow the trends. I know trending things are what's the it thing to do, but be yourself. Authenticity is so hard to come by in today's time. Everybody wants to have the look, to have the thing, to do the thing, what the it thing, what's supposed to be popular or trending or social media worthy. We have to get out of that light, guys. People that are in that light. It's important to have some authenticity in our lives, because that's rare these days and it's not around anymore as much as it used to be. Oh my God, I'm 23 minutes in. Okay, let me hurry up. Okay. Number 8, routine beats motivation. Okay. Routine beats motivation. I read that one a couple of times and I'm like, okay, before I read David's description based around it. So what he says is there's a point where waiting for the right mood to do things just doesn't work anymore. So let's say you want to work out and you like, okay, I'm going to wait until I'm in the mood to work out. What if the mood never comes? You're not in the mood. You go to work, you get up early, you get the kids ready for school. You get home, you got to cook dinner, you tired. The mood may not come, So that's what it's telling you. Creating small habits keeps life moving even when energy runs low. So you have to position yourself there, routine. You might not be motivated to get up and work out, but if you put it in your schedule, okay, at 8 o'clock, I'm going to do 10 jumping jacks. I'm going to do 10 squats and 10 lunges. Put it in your schedule, create a habit of it so that when your energy runs low, because you in the swing of that's just your routine, usually you're gonna do what your routine is. It says, it turns out routine quietly carries you forward long before motivation ever shows up. Do you guys agree with that? What do you think about that? Routine quietly carries you forward long before motivation ever shows up. Okay, number 9. Mistakes are better teachers than success. That's a good one. Success gives you a gentle pat on the head, but failure grabs you by the collar and teaches you lessons you'll never forget. Every spectacular mess up becomes part of your wisdom collection. I like that. Your worst days often create your best stories and lessons that shape the future. So, being successful, of course, that's the goal for everyone in life. We want to be successful, right? But along the way and on the journey to success, mistakes are going to come. And those mistakes are going to be teachers for us, right? It's going to tell you what not to do the next time, right? So mistakes are better teachers than success. I agree with that. Number 10, happiness is mostly a choice. Happiness is mostly a choice. Life will serve you cold coffee, delayed flights, and Monday mornings, whether you like it or not. Right? But somewhere between the chaos and the calm, you discover that joy lives in how you respond to ordinary moments. That superpower was always yours. This was worded so perfectly. This was worded perfectly. What I heard a saying where it said is 90% what happens to you. 90%, 10% what happens to you, 90% of how you respond to it, or something like that. Have you guys heard a saying like that? I feel like that's what number 10 is kind of getting at. Happiness is mostly a choice. Some things can have a ripple effect on happiness and how happiness can come about or be presented in our lives. But most of it is a choice. You choose, whether you want to be happy or not. And it's all in how you respond to the different situations that may come about and happen to you. Are you going to allow it to control, how you feel, your emotions and different things like that? Or are you going to wrap your hands around it and say, look, yes, this was messed up. This was messed up. But I'm going to move forward and find the silver lining in the situation. Right? So that's number 10. Number 11, people come and go, and that's normal. I don't think we understood that younger. This is one that most definitely does not resonate until you're older, because people who you may have thought were your person, were your friend, You like come and go. Wait a minute, what? No, we've been cool since 2nd grade. But as you get older, you realize that people come and go, and that's okay. That's normal. People are in our lives for a reason and a season. And it doesn't always last, fully for the remainder of our lives. So that's number 11. What David had to say about number 11 was, at first, it feels strange when someone who was always around slowly fades out of your life. Eventually, you realize that friendships can be seasonal. Some stay forever, others drift, but each one shapes you in its own way. And I'm going to stop right there at number 11. I will do the rest another day because I'm already 31 minutes in. And I feel like with certain videos, you don't want to watch them when they're extra long. I'm even the same way. I'm like, I look at the time like, oh my God, an hour. Am I going to want to zone in this full complete time? But I thought this was a very interesting blog from this guy. So I wanted to share it with you guys. And again, it was titled 20 Life Mottos You Only Understand When You're Older. So I will start in a day or so with number 12. On down to number 20. Okay, it was nice catching up, right?